It's almost come full circle. Back in January of last year, January 14th to be exact, Deborah, you know my wife Deborah, you know I love her. Well, we got the diagnosis of the breast cancer. And it was in March, this past March, that we began treatment with chemotherapy for her particular breast cancer, triple negative stage 2B, a very aggressive form of cancer. We went through all of the steps with chemotherapy, and when I made the announcement to you guys, I showed you the hairstyle, because by that time we were probably halfway through all of the treatments, at least the chemotherapy portion of the treatment. Fast forward, here we are now in December, just a few days before Christmas, a few days before the end of the year 2023, the year that wasn't. Now let me back up when I say the year that wasn't. The same month that we found the that began the treatment, on the 31st of that month, I lost my mother. Mom was 93. My wife, Deborah, was really loved by my mother. My wife, Deborah, really loved my mother. You know the dynamic sometimes, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. This was not the case. We miss her dearly. But we also made a big effort and a big push prior to treatment to go see her one last time. And happy to say that we were able to do it. So again, when I say this year was the year that wasn't for us, it wasn't. All of us, most of us out there have jobs that we have to go to and everything else. My job was actually pretty good to me, in that they allowed me to take time off when needed to attend to her needs, particularly when she went through the chemotherapy treatment. So I was able to be at each chemotherapy session and be there for the aftermath of the chemotherapy treatments. So I'm grateful for that. I really am, being able to be there, to take the time out to be there. And when I tell you that that is a different experience, being a caregiver to somebody who's going through treatment like that, it's a different experience. So, December 5th, and again, this year is gone by, but then it hasn't gone by. December the 5th, she finished the radiation treatment. Yeah, she is done with treatment, and it was very successful. I'm happy to report, very successful. I learned a lot during this period of time of her going through the treatment. Probably more than one person or anybody wants to when it comes to breast cancer or cancer, period. Learned that there are a lot of great people who are in the oncology field, particularly the ones that we encountered on this particular journey. And I cannot give them higher praise than that I can give when I tell you that these people are some of the most amazing people that you are going to encounter. They made the experience palatable, if you will, with a sense of humor a sense of empathy and a sense of sympathy. But the biggest thing that I noted amongst these people were their sense, or was their sense of confidence in what they did and how they administered. Just a great bunch of human beings, from the ladies that did the scheduling to the professional nurses that did the treatments, some of whom were actually going through chemotherapy themselves, which was an amazing thing to witness during this journey this past year. Now, my wife isn't one to blow up a lot of things, particularly about her, because we were both extremely aware that everybody doesn't have the same result. After the chemotherapy treatment, the oncology doctor was amazed because they said she had a nearly complete, a very nearly complete response just to the chemotherapy itself. The tumor shrank tremendously, almost indetectable, which was amazing to them. And when I asked him, I said, "How do you mean amazing?" He said, "Well, sometimes we only see a response that's about a quarter or a half, but rarely do we see nearly a full response." When we began radiation treatment, the doctor in charge of the radiation therapy basically echoed the same thing. They were amazed. But one thing that both parties over in radiology and in oncology were absolutely sure of was that my wife was going to be all right, because of the attitude that she portrayed every day she went in for a treatment. She went in with confidence. She went in with determination. She went in with a smile, with laughter, and with humor. We didn't let anything stop us. We didn't feel sorry for us. And everybody would tell me, we knew she was going to be all right just because of her attitude. Just because of her attitude. She maintained that attitude even after treatment, or especially when she woke up from that sleep from the chemotherapy. Yeah, there were times that she dragged and everything else, but there were certain things that did not happen during radiation or throughout the chemotherapy treatment. Deborah never threw up. Never, not once. I'm not lying. What do I have to lie for? She never threw up. She never had a super adverse reaction to anything. Yes, radiation causes radiation burns, and she suffered that, as you would expect. But hell, I've been sunburned just welding. Yeah, so neck, cheek, and everything else. Your idea sometimes you don't put on the equipment. Anyway, I'm not a professional welder, so don't take that type of advice. But her overall attitude of being positive was one of the markers that prompted these professionals, who have years of experience of dealing with people going through this treatment, that said she was going to make it. During the time that we were going through the chemotherapy, there were a couple of people that did not survive, such as the things of life. You cannot predict what can happen. But what I do want to say, particularly to those of you And what she would likely say too, to anybody who is going through this, trust the treatments, trust the professionals in charge, trust yourself, trust in somebody higher than yourself. Believe that what you are doing is going to yield good results. If you're a partner of somebody who's going through this, be supportive of them. That is the single biggest thing that you can do. One of the things that I remember most vividly was when the oncology doctor asked Deborah, how's your appetite? I chimed in and said, expensive. Because taste buds and everything flipped, and because of the treatment, stuff just did not taste good to her on any given day. And there were some things that she could taste that she relied on. So there was a day prior to this particular appointment, a day or a weekend, where I had spent between the two of us, about basically $130 on food, because it was important for her nutritionally to eat. And if you can't taste anything, or if stuff doesn't taste good to you, you're not going to eat. So I bought what she wanted and what she could taste, so that she would eat it and enjoy it. And if she didn't eat it, if she didn't enjoy it, I would go buy something else, because it was absolutely vital, absolutely important. But she came through. And for that, I am extremely grateful, and so is she. So you, as a caregiver, please be encouraged. Learn everything that you can about what it is that your mate is going through, and be supportive of that individual. It can make all the difference in the world, because you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. So she came through it. Now all we're doing is healing. Her hair is coming back. It's not silver, but she was so excited when she could reach up and feel hair on her head. Now she has to use a brush. She got used to that style. She looked like one of the warriors out of Wakanda, and I gotta admit, she looked good with no hair. And she says, what do you think? She says, I look good with no hair too. So, but I'm keeping my hairstyle because she likes this head. Yeah, so, although it does feel strange when it rains and I don't have a hat on. So, her hair is coming back. Her weight is coming back. But the one thing that never left was that personality, that smile, that determination. Folks, that's what it takes to get through this thing that we call life. So we've jumped that hurdle, and we're on to the next one. We are determined, as she said, if it comes back, we will fight it again. That's determination. That's what it takes to get through this thing called life. You approach it with a smile, approach it with a plan, approach it with determination. If you get to a point that something isn't working, stop, think, then act. I know, it's straight out of airplane flying. Stop, think, then act. And trust me, that's not an easy thing for her, because she used to act before she thought, just out of impulse and everything else. But She did magnificently surprise me. Even I've learned through this. So that is the biggest news of the year. It's not the car. It's not the activity that I do outside of the garage or outside of some other stuff. It's not the job and these multi-million-dollar airplanes that I pull around on a daily basis. But that's the big news. And I am excited for a new year. I want to also thank all of you guys. When I first announced this to you, I got some wonderful remarks and responses that I shared with my wife from a lot of you subscribers. We appreciate that so much. That really buoyed us, that lifted us quite a bit. That people we don't even know express their thoughts and prayers and concerns for us, and especially for her. That meant a lot. That tells me what kind of subscribers that I'm blessed to have looking at my channel. It really gives you hope for this planet, for the people on this planet. There's still a lot of good people out here. I don't care what anybody says. There are a lot of good people out there. And I'm fortunate enough, we are fortunate enough to call you amongst our subscribers and friends. So, thank you again. Thank you so much for those kind words, thoughts, and prayers. So, I'm at the place just like everybody else, right? We have far more in common than we do differences. And it's that commonality that binds us. So my hope and my prayer for you guys, anybody that's going through anything, that you are healthy in mind, body, and spirit, that treatments will produce results, that you will get back to a state, or, if necessary, learn to live within the new state that you find yourself. Because if I learned nothing else, don't compromise, improvise. Thank you, folks. We'll see you again.